Hello, everyone. My name is Kamaya Brown. I am the principal and founder of Kamaya Brown Interiors. We are a Brooklyn-based interior design firm. We specialize in residential and commercial design, and we service clients all around the world. I'm originally from Georgia, and I was initially going to school for broadcast journalism. And then I changed my major my junior year to interior design. I was taking a law and ethics class. It was probably, I think it was like day 4, right before drop ad. And I was like, you know what, this is just not working for me. And I had this epiphany and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I would love to still do some journalism or some speaking engagements, but I don't need to take this route to get there. And then I went to career services, took an aptitude test, me being very logical. And I said, let's figure out what else we're really good at and where else can we shine. And so to make a very long story less long, that's how I discovered interior design. And then I spoke to someone in the interiors department. And then I sat in on a few classes, called some interior designers, spoke to them about their profession, and then I decided to go for it. When I decided to finally take the leap of faith and say, you know what, we're doing this full time, it was October of 2019. And it was right before the pandemic started, and I signed my first client in that November. And we finished her project, which was a full kitchen renovation and some adjustments and touch-ups to her apartment, literally the weekend before the shutdown. We had final sign-offs literally the weekend before the shutdown. So it's been interesting because yes, I've been in business for, since then, but it feels like this last couple of years, it's been very up and down. So I also experienced a lot last year. My mother passed, my grandmother passed away, and then also my main contractor that I worked with a lot committed suicide. And so, when we don't talk about stress, we don't talk about, how that impacts our business as entrepreneurs. But I will say last year was completely a blur for me. So 2020 was a blur. Last year was a blur. So I feel like I had like 2 really great strong years where I was finally coming into my own and discovering myself as a leader in my own space. And then life happens. And so now 2024, we're welcoming all the greatness and embracing, new networking opportunities and creative ways to gain exposure to, leave our indelible mark on the world of design. Getting your NCIDQ certification is no feat for the faint of heart. It is definitely intense, but I will say it is super rewarding. It is super needed. I do think that, as an advocate for the interior designers calling themselves designers who are licensed and who have formal training, I do think that it is super important to honor that, to respect that, and to, study the craft. It's more than just making spaces pretty. We are very concerned about the health, the welfare of those spaces and those who are going to occupy it. And so I think, if there's anyone who is interested in getting their NCIDQ, I highly recommend it, especially if you are working in commercial interior spaces. I am not a fan of artificial intelligence. I am a fan of 3D renderings. So there's a difference in that approach. As a creative, and that is literally like the soul of what we do is create from within, right? So like whether it's graphic design or photography, it's a visceral experience where you're taking something from deep within yourself and you're sharing it with other people, and you're again leaving your thumbprint in these various spaces, and then also impacting people's homes and their lifestyle, their way of life, how they're functioning. So I don't believe in removing that human piece from your designs. I believe that it's something that when you partner with your client and you get very clear about what their goals are, what their needs are, how they experience space and what their desires are. Because the reality is currently the way that it's set up, it's not creating from nothing. It's just pulling images from online and doing a hodgepodge design of like taking other people's intellectual property. And so that's my big concern with AI. And I feel like it just kind of like waters down what it is we do, like as licensed trained interior designers now. So I'm not a fan of that. However, I do use 3D renderings in my projects with my clients all the time. So once we think of some ideas, we have concepts, and let's say they're not visual, we always offer and provide 3D renderings for the spaces that we're working on. So bathrooms, kitchens, living rooms, hotels, restaurants, whatever that space is. I am here for all the color. So I am loving this appreciation for color in interior spaces. I am seeing clients and designers becoming more bold in expressing color. I'm seeing more patterns and like unique things, even from manufacturers, whereas before it may not have been as color forward. So one thing here at Kamiah Brown Interiors, we say this to our clients, we're like, we see in color, we experience color. We have a color theory like test that we do with our clients where we unpack their relationship with color, because white is still a color, right? Black is a color, gray is a color. So let's uncover why you identify with those and you feel more comfortable with a khaki or a blue or brown as opposed to purple, pink, and bright greens. And so I feel oftentimes folks just haven't been given permission to say yes. And now we are in a season of yes for color in all aspects of their homes and even in commercial spaces. And so definitely embracing color is something that I love. That's a new trend that I hope is here to stay. It definitely is within our firm. And then I would say there are certain things like, accent walls that I feel just should never be a thing. Like, let's commit to the whole space. So there are design principles that I live by and that you would see nuanced in our designs, where it's like, okay, there are specific trends that we don't subscribe to. I am not opposed to a boucle fabric if it makes sense, but boucle and like very, very beige interior spaces, I feel like are trends that I would love to see disappear. I would love to see farmhouse aesthetic disappear. And I would love to see more people just embracing this this expression of design within themselves, where it is very eclectic, because I do believe that in all of our spaces there is this eclectic nature that we naturally have when you honor, the family heirloom or your mother's, a piece of art from like a family member. Folks don't know that I do speak Spanish. I've traveled to a lot of different countries. I am older than I look, so I am not a 20-something. I do have a lot of experience. I do think that people are surprised when they find out just how technical I am as a designer and the experience and exposure to projects that I have worked on. I think those are also like things that folks are shocked to understand, especially when I start describing, our approach to design and how we experience space, when they realize, oh, she's not a decorator.